I'm Glenn Darcy, Vice President of Product Management for Arturia. This is part 3 in our Buchla Music Easel V series. In this video, I'll be covering the new advanced modulation sources that we've added to Buchla Music Easel V. The idea behind these controls are that in every video we saw of people using the music easel, it was clear that people actually play the instrument, meaning that they typically have a right hand and a left hand manipulating keys or sliders or switches. You can do this using a MIDI controller, of course, but there's a certain amount of hands-on or automation control that we felt was needed to better allow for interesting performances. The tabs on the left are labeled left hand, right hand, gravity, and effects. These will open the different pages. The left hand controls mimic slider or switch movements. You can create 5 different automations for these movements. We'll start by choosing the destination for one of the left-hand controls. I choose it by clicking on the name, and then picking any one of the modules on the Buchla itself, or even in these other controls. In this case, I'm going to choose the complex oscillator, and I'm going to choose timbre. Now when I play a key, it's going to play through this pattern right here. Since it's flat, we don't hear anything. Now I can go on and add points and start dragging the pattern up and down, but when I play it, you still don't hear anything. You have to use this control over here to set the amount of modulation from this pattern that you want to go to this destination. Now you can set this to be bipolar like it is here, or you can click on this and set it to unipolar. You can set the speed that plays at as well. Over here are the modes. When I click once, it's just going to play it one time when I press the keyboard. If I hit loop, it's going to loop this pattern. Every time I press the key, it's going to re-trigger it. So we're just looping right now, and I'm just holding a key. But every time I press the key again, you'll see it re-triggers it to the beginning. In run mode, it's just continuous. It will just play like this no matter what I play on the keys. One control that you have here is smoothing. You can smooth the amount of modulation. You can hear that's very sharp. I smooth it out. It lags the control. All of the different modules here, you can see the destinations below this line are contextual, and it's going to be based on whatever module you're choosing. You can see there's a great number of destinations to send these to. If when you're editing, you want to disable all of the left-hand controls, just click on this little button up here, and this will disable the modulation. The right-hand controls simulate your hand playing the keyboard and the preset voltage buttons. This is really just a sequencer. You click on a square to choose a pitch. You can right-click on it to remove it. You can extend the length of it by just grabbing on the back end, or you can pull the front end out as well. You can then click it, drag it up and down, re-pitch it if you want. The mode buttons also determine, again, just like on the left-hand controls, how this is going to play. If I have it set to once and I play the key, it's going to play it through from when I trigger it. In the loop mode, it's going to loop as long as I'm holding the key down. But if I pick up my finger and I re-trigger it, it's going to start it back from the beginning. In run mode, it's just going to play continuously. I can set the length of the gates here, and I can randomize the gates. Now one thing that I can do in my sequence down in this bottom is choose my preset voltage memories down here. So if I set these to a few different things, and let's take the output and we'll go on and route it into the timbre. So then I can choose them. I can now automate these down here. So by clicking on this and dragging up, I can choose that's button number 1 there. We'll go to number 2 there. Go to number 3 here. And we'll go to number 4 over here. So I can create a pattern down here of how my preset voltage source buttons react. The gravity module is one that allows you to create complex modulation space. Gravity is a new type of XY controller. You can choose your Y destinations over here, just as you would do them in the right-hand, left-hand controls. In this case, I'm going to choose the complex oscillators timbre. And I'm going to choose for my Y, I'm going to choose the gate outputs, gate 2 level. So what I've got going on here is on gate 2, I've got the mod oscillator, and I've got a timbre control going on here. Now when I press a key, you'll see that it launches a particle that goes around the XY grid. So we've got our routings. I'm going to go on and turn up the amount of modulations. And you'll hear this sound that goes from this to this. So as it goes up this way, it's opening up the gate 2 level and letting the modulation oscillator come through. As it goes up and down, it's raising the timbre controls. Now the fun part about this is now I can start putting things into this field. And I can put attractors and repellers, I can put walls, and I can put little hyperspace modules. So when I start to send things, let's go on and throw a repeller out. And we can set the force here. So you can see how when it starts to go towards it, it repels away from it. So I can make the size of it this way. And then I can throw an attractor in the middle of it as well. So now we've got a repeller here, we've got an attractor here. I can throw walls in, of course. So we'll bounce it off this wall here. And I can throw a number of walls in. You can rotate them and change the sizes. And it gives you this great, unpredictable kind of chaotic XY control. I can throw some hyperspace portals in here. And it will jump, when it enters one of them, it will jump and come out the other one. We can remove them by just grabbing them, dragging them back into the zone. Now what I can do is I can also set the random throw direction. If you notice, every time I hit the key, it's coming out the same thing. If I change the random throw direction, every time I press a key, you can see it's going a little different direction. Again, the force is really the force of how these, the gravity and the repulsion works. So if I turn it down, you can see that it doesn't bend things as much. When I turn it up, it really kicks it out. You can set the speed, of course, And then you have your different trigger sources, whether it's from the key, I can have the pulsar, or I can have a sequence re-triggering this thing every time. You can also be generating gates, and I can set the length of the gate. So when it starts to bounce off the wall or the floor or ceiling, I can have it generate a gate. This allows you a whole lot of new possibilities. It's fun to use. It creates this great kind of chaotic thing that you can't predict, which is really kind of part of the aspect of the Buchla, the whole Buchla idea. The original Buchlas, you could kind of control them, but you kind of couldn't. There was always this little bit of an unknown quantity going on around them. And that was kind of the beauty of that product. Last up are the effects. The effects are your standard everyday effects. You can pick and choose 2 different effects. By clicking on the list, you get to choose all the different types we have. We have reverbs, we have destroyers, analog delays, digital delays, pretty much all the standard fare. Now there's also some preferences here. One is for the pulsar gate response, whether it's a hold or a trigger. So that can turn into something a little bit more than just a hold release. And then you have the gate response on the dual low-pass gate itself, whether it reacts fast, medium, or slow. Medium is probably about the amount that a real one is. Because of the design of a low-pass gate, they tend to be a little bit slower. So we've given you some controls here that allow how they react. The Buchla Music Easel V has a lot of depth to it in a seemingly small package. I hope that these videos have given you a better look at the software, and it will inspire you to dig in and start making your own sounds.